everyone, here we are at part 3 of our discussion of the digestive system. So we're going to start with looking at the small intestine. Um, the small intestine is about 20 feet long and has a huge surface area. You can see on this graphic that there are folds, projections called villi, which also have hairs on them, and the smaller microvilli that increase the surface area of the small intestine by more than 600 times. So this allows for further surface area for nutrients to be digested and absorbed. The villi and microvilli are what is often damaged in what you may know as celiac disease, which inhibits digestion of gluten. So most of the body's digestion and absorption happens in the small intestine, and there are 3 parts. The duodenum or duodenum, depending on how you'd like to pronounce that word. That's the shortest section of the small intestine, followed by the jejunum, and then the longest, which is the ileum. Primarily in the duodenum is where digestion occurs, whereas in the jejunum and the ileum is mostly where absorption would occur. So all of this has a huge surface area, and in the small intestine is where a hormone called secretin is released, and that causes the release of bicarbonate. And the bicarbonate is what neutralizes the acidity of the chyme that passes from the stomach to the small intestine. Bicarbonate is released from the pancreas, which is an accessory organ to the digestive process. Most of the time, it takes about 3 to 10 hours for chyme to travel through the small intestine. And it just depends on how much food and the type of food that you've eaten for that timing. Some of the hormones that are secreted are cholecystokinin or CCK. This stops the production of gastrin in the stomach, and gastrin is one of the hormones that allows you to feel hungry. It also tells the gallbladder to release bile, and bile is an emulsifier actually that helps you break down fat. As I mentioned earlier, we know that there is some movement of the chyme through the digestive tract, and when you get to the small intestine, this is called segmentation, and it's kind of like a sloshing motion that mixes the chyme with the hormones and other secretions. There's also kind of a pendular movement, and this enhances nutrient absorption by helping the food substances to mix with the gastric secretions. The action moves the chyme at about 1 centimeter per minute until it exits at the ileocecal valve. So that's another sphincter valve that separates the small intestine from the colon. You can kind of see that at every segment of the digestive tract you have some sort of valve or sphincter that stops food from moving forward or inhibits it so it moves at a nice pace through the digestive system. So after the food leaves the small intestine, of course, it enters the large intestine or colon. The colon is 3 parts. So the large intestine is where you eliminate waste and absorb water, sodium, potassium, chloride, as well as some other nutrients. The ileocecal sphincter between the small intestine and the colon allow or prevent the backflow of fecal matter from the colon back to the small intestine. So, but most of your nutrients have been absorbed. Your other vitamins and minerals are typically absorbed already by the time they reach the large intestine, except those that I already mentioned. So the large intestine has three parts to it. You have your cecum, you have your colon, which is some people call the um, ascending, transverse, and descending colon, and you have the rectum. So it's about 5 feet long, much shorter than the small intestine, and about 2.5 inches in diameter. Um, there's no enzymes that are released from the large intestine down here. Most digestive processes are done by the large number of bacteria that exist in your colon. So digestion of fiber and other things is done by those bacteria. You can see in this graphic the sections that I already mentioned previously, with the small intestine here, the sphincter that separates the colon from the small intestine. Your appendix, if you haven't had one taken out, is at the end here of the ascending colon. So usually not needed, and you can live without that. And then as things travel up and around, down and through, you have your sigmoid colon at the end. If you ever have a sigmoidoscopy, that device will be sent into that part of the colon. So it takes about 12 to 70 hours for material to go through the large intestine. Um, like I mentioned a little bit ago, there's bacteria that helps produce vitamin K, your vitamin B12, thiamine, riboflavin, and biotin, which are other B vitamins. Anything fibrous or any undigested carbohydrates are broken down by that bacteria. And then, of course, gases can be produced by the bacteria's action on certain food. We all know, like beans and some vegetables can cause gas, and that is because of the action of the bacteria on those foods. And then in the final stage of digestion, which is defecation, through the anus, you have two sphincters, an internal and external sphincter, which controls the release of fecal matter. So I'm going to show you this probiotics video, and this talks about the need or the good things probiotics can do for the health of your colon.
Your gastrointestinal system, including your stomach and intestines, is filled with many tiny microorganisms. Some of these microorganisms are good bacteria that help your body digest and absorb food and protect against disease. However, your intestinal system may also contain bad bacteria that can cause intestinal distress and negatively affect digestion. Unfortunately, times of stress or illness or use of certain medications may decrease the numbers of good bacteria within your body. As these populations diminish, they are no longer able to control the growth of the bad bacteria that are already in your digestive system or enter your body when you eat. As these organisms grow in number, they may cause bloating, gas, cramps, and diarrhea, which may in turn affect your ability to absorb nutrients, thus increasing your risk of illness. However, there are products on the market today that contain various types of the good bacteria or probiotics. Taking these supplements may help you maintain a healthy balance of intestinal microorganisms that promote digestion and prevent the discomfort of intestinal distress.
So as you just heard in that video, probiotics can be useful for a number of reasons. If you have, say, allergies or digestive problems like lactose intolerance, if you've been taking antibiotics, you can buy probiotic products to take to help put healthy bacteria back into your digestive system. So one thing I'd like you guys to do, and this will help me know that everybody's been listening, is either online or in your favorite store of choice, look for a probiotic product or the name of a probiotic. An example would be Lactobacillus ramos. And once you find that, let me know what the name of the product is, and then also email me that and tell me what that product would be used for. Is it used for, digestion? Is it helpful for allergies or any other sort of disorder? So you can email it to my email address, koneill, KONEILL, at regis.edu before the next class, or you can send it to me in world class.
Digestion and prevent the discomfort of intestinal distress.
We'll continue. So the accessory organs for digestion, and those organs producing secretions or enzymes and hormones for the process, are the liver, the gallbladder, and the pancreas. Now the liver is your largest gland in your body. It produces the bile needed for fat digestion. Bile is a yellowish green substance that's called an emulsifier. So an emulsifier helps break down large fat globules into smaller globules or droplets so that they can be absorbed. So the liver helps you metabolize your carbs, your fats, and your protein, and it also stores nutrients. If you remember, we talked about vitamins a little bit, and we'll talk about it more in later lectures, but vitamins A, D, E, and K are considered fat-soluble vitamins. The A, D, and E are stored by the liver. Your vitamin B12, which comes from animal products, is also stored in the liver. And then copper and iron, two minerals that are important, are stored there. And then a product called glycogen, which is a product produced from the storage of glucose. We'll talk a lot more about that when we get to carbohydrates. One big thing the liver is known to do, and you've probably heard, is this just in popular media and just in your regular lives, is that the liver helps detoxify alcohol. So the liver is the one organ that's really affected by alcohol abuse. People get cirrhosis of the liver, where the liver gets clogged up and can no longer process materials. So it's important to keep your liver healthy because it does so many things. Now the gallbladder, which is situated near the liver, is like a little sac, and that concentrates and stores the bile that is produced by the liver so that it. So the final accessory organ related to digestion is the pancreas, and this secretes some of our essential enzymes and hormones. The pancreas is an exocrine gland, as I mentioned earlier, and a few enzymes are secreted here to break down fats, carbohydrates, and proteins. They are lipase, amylase, which you may remember from our talk about digestion in the starting in the mouth, trypsin, chymotrypsin, and carboxypeptidase, which breaks down the protein molecules. Another thing that is excreted is bicarbonate to be released into the stomach to neutralize and bring up that stomach pH. Because if you remember earlier, I said the stomach pH is about 2, which is pretty acidic, but the bicarbonate that's released can bring that pH up so that the stomach lining isn't damaged. The pancreas also has an endocrine gland function, producing insulin and glucagon in relation to the breakdown of sugar. You may know that in diabetes that insulin is sometimes necessary to regulate blood sugar for those with that condition. And then glucagon is a storage form of sugar in the liver, so the pancreas releases or produces that hormone. So in the next part of our discussion, we will talk about how the digested nutrients are absorbed and the transport processes involved and metabolism. So you can go to the next video. It can be released into the digestive tract for fat digestion.